Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS America's Winter Edition. My name is Fear Dragon, and I'm joined by Nathanius here on the desk. After an exciting Protoss versus Terran, I was enjoying every second of that.
Oh, it was a great, fun match. Masa showing his good form, as he always does. Masa's very good. He kind of had like a couple of his spark-type moments in WCS in the last few years, but I'm really interested to see what he... where he goes from here, because he's one of those players that does well a lot, especially in smaller stuff in local tournaments. But generally, his biggest fall-offs are like when he gets to the big tournaments.
That's absolutely true. He set himself up to be in a league of his own, and he's definitely establishing himself as one of the legends. But we'll see in this next series as we go into a Zerg versus Zerg to see where this is going to go, because this is so. I'm not going to lie to the audience and say that this is just going to be a complete meme fest, because I think that JonSnow, more likely to play a little bit closer to standard, going to try and do his best to smack down the memes that MeomaikA throws out. MeomaikA, for those who don't know, a really awesome Zerg, a Vietnamese player who just plays absolutely ridiculous. He has the craziest builds, the craziest ideas. A lot of them, to be blunt, they're stupid. But they work sometimes because they're stupid, and they're so stupid no one would think of doing them, so no one is prepared for them. It's actually one of those players.
It is my favorite piece of StarCraft meta. The strategy that is so bad it works.
It's one of my favorite things.
It's also one of the hardest things to try and explain, because someone will always be like, "What do you mean it's bad? It beat you." I'm like, "You don't understand." Oh, it's like if you killed 2 of your own drones just so they thought you had less workers and you were cheesing them, and then it worked somehow. Anyway, we're loaded in. We're ready for some StarCraft.
All right, we're going to be starting down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. The man in blue going for the extractor trick. He is MeomaikA. Man who has made his way through many an online tournament.
And his opponent in the Northwest, he gets stronger and stronger as we approach the final season. The Red Zerg player in the Northwest, he is JonSnow.
JonSnow, also nicknamed by a lot of NA players as Consistent Snow, because he is such a consistent player. He is almost like a benchmark for a lot of other people to see how good they are, if they're rising or declining in the North American scene. But I will say the last 3 or 4 months, it hasn't actually been as consistent for JonSnow. He's been a little bit more iffy. He's sort of fluctuated a bit. I think this has a lot to do with him graduating. He's going to be starting a real job in a few weeks, I think, at this point, as a software developer. So he's got a lot of changes going on in his life, but he has taken the last few weeks to refocus in on StarCraft. And I'm sure he's going to be feeling pretty confident going up against a guy who he knows is going to play weird. And he's a really good player, just playing nice, safe, and standard.
Yep, I think the kind of benchmark is a polite way of putting it. I harkens back to the ultimate diss Kalaris dropped on Hearthstone, calling him the gatekeeper, where he's like, he doesn't really get to move up or down, but
are you gatekeeping NA players?
You can't get good until you beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, based on that logic, JonSnow would be gatekeeping all of NA from the top echelons.
Oh, yeah, it's sort of an unfortunate nickname, but I think JonSnow, to some extent, did own up to it a bit. And it was more just also a bit of praise to say, like, he is that kind of player that was considered amongst the top, but he was, like, the bottom amongst the players, which, by the way, includes players like Scarlet and Neeb and Masa. Yes. Really, really strong players, so it's not a diss, but it certainly was something he did struggle with, breaking into that top echelon of players.
Yep. MeomaikA gonna send out another drone and take another base. MeomaikA also repping those gorgeous Simulant Zerg unit skins.
Yeah.
Those ones are so nice. He doesn't have the buildings. Did he not get the war chest? Do we gotta hook him up?
You know what? He's waiting for the payout from this event.
That'll get him quite a few war chests.
Exactly.
I think the next phase of the war chest starts in like 6 days,
it's like
right?
February 16th or something?
That's sick. And then you'll be able to finally have full set of skins for all your buildings. I can't wait for that.
So far, everything looking super normal from both these players. Third base and stuff coming on up. We do see JonSnow adding on a few more lings than MeomaikA, though, with 10 more being put in. It's always a bit interesting when you see a player like MeomaikA facing off versus someone, because when they have a reputation like MeomaikA, sometimes players like JonSnow, they will do the thing where they say, I'll make units now, because if you're doing something all in and I'm not scouting it, I'll be prepared because I'll have units, and if you aren't doing it, then I'll just go attack you instead.
Alright, we do have those banelings being made as the Lings kind of
Oh! 1 for 1. Not the trade that MeomaikA wanted to make. And JonSnow still has his own banelings still left alive, despite not having a whole lot to protect them. More Lings streaming their way across the map. MeomaikA wants to get aggressive, but his banelings are just not finding the connections they want.
Yeah, well, you said it. I mean, those trades earlier, really not effective. And gets another one of his banelings. Like, how is he supposed to make this work from here? This is really dire straits right now for MeomaikA trying to get an attack going. He does have that drone lead, but I'm not entirely sure. It's always one of those awkward ZvZ, the knife fight of Ling Bane versus Ling Bane.
They might just go off, and if they time it perfectly, they could actually detonate on all 5 of these banelings. He's going in, and okay, doesn't actually quite get that.
Big whiff. JonSnow had the opportunity you were talking about. 2 banelings kill a baneling, so you can trade 2 for X, basically.
Yeah, that's a 2 for 3, and that's a 1 for 1, softening up some of the banelings here for MeomaikA. Just back and forth trades. They're both sitting on close to even workers, but MeomaikA with a slight worker advantage, 33 to 28. JonSnow's trying to sneak in a couple of drones here and there, and the aggression is definitely not over. But we also see a Ro32 being thrown down there for JonSnow.
Great baneling connection there, actually, for MeomaikA. And now he's got a lot more Lings still coming up. Both players have been cranking out tons of Ling Bane so far. Ro32's finally coming in, just started for MeomaikA, and just finishing for JonSnow as he adds more banelings and 11, more drones to bolster the economy.
Yeah, the banelings out of position here for JonSnow as these Lings for MeomaikA are going to try and get some damage done. The choke point working against MeomaikA just because he doesn't really have as much time to get the damage done. JonSnow with that Ling counterattack, avoiding all the overlords, sneaks his way over to the 3rd base, gets a couple of drones and does some damage, but does get forced back. And it's 38 to 38 workers. The only difference now is that JonSnow has a slightly faster Ro32 and has already begun, I want to say roach production, but it's literally a single roach production.
I mean, technically, I guess it's still
It is still technically roach production.
And that's the best kind of correct, I guess. So we do have more roaches coming out, of course, from JonSnow. He was not going to only build 1 roach. He's not a psychopath.
Ooh. Baneling run by. Kills off 5 workers there for MeomaikA. The worker count's still looking relatively even. Oh, here's another couple of banelings. Not that many drones, though.
That feel when you send 2 banelings in and he only has 2 drones. Like,
this was the perfect attack if there were units to attack.
I got in completely undetected, and I'm going to leave.
MeomaikA, I mean, most of his army right now are just these Lings and these banelings. And now with the roaches out in pretty high numbers here for JonSnow, even without a lair or roach speed or anything, he's just going to make his way across the map. The Lings and the banelings are going to try and threaten a counterattack. That is the one thing MeomaikA has going for him to try and get some damage done, but he needs more time to build up his own roach count.
Indeed he does. Ooh. He's got the roaches on the way at home. He's got spines on the way. Those banelings did take a bit of a hit from that detonation earlier. Not able to reach the drones, tragically.
Yep, and the roaches made their way across the map here for JonSnow. While not the full, I guess, number of roaches that JonSnow has out on the map, it's going to be enough to cut off some of these units, kill off a queen, pick off a couple of these roaches here for MeomaikA. They're popping out as the reinforcements come swinging on in.
Oh, it's so hard to stem the tide. The spine crawlers are so close, but it's so deceptive when spine crawlers are at 90% because they actually take forever to build. GG, JonSnow takes game number 1 here in our 2nd match for our Americas group.
Yeah, I really feel like MeomaikA just had that one sort of extra wave of drones at the end, which, I mean, it happens in ZvZ a lot. You do that one extra wave of drones and you say, oh, actually, you were just making roaches. Oh, well, I just have 10 too many drones and not enough units to defend anymore. So you tried to threaten the counterattack like we were saying before and just buy time, but I love that JonSnow, it's a really difficult thing to actually segment off the right number of units to go for the attack with anyways and still leave enough at home to clean up. So he was still able to do some damage, pick off some of the roaches, take even trades on the other side of the map, and then the reinforcements came in and cleaned up. If he doesn't have those earlier roaches, though, MeomaikA finishes up some of the spine crawlers. It maybe looks a little bit tougher.
Yep. It's so hard to balance out all of that, especially when you're trying to get spine crawlers Spine crawlers take so long to build, and you're like, oh, I'm so close, I just need to hold on a little bit longer. And then you don't, and then you die, and then the spines finish after the game is over, and you're staring at the defeat screen.
Yeah, well, we saw a lot of Zerglings and Banelings in that game, and we might actually see one of these eventually once MeomaikA gets his payout to get his own war chest. That is the war chest spawning pool that you guys can purchase. And, of course, 25% of the proceeds from that war chest purchase will, in fact, go to esports initiatives in 2019 if you guys are interested in that. Directly helping to pay out players like MeomaikA and JonSnow.
If you want robotic Zerg structures because you're squeamish and you don't like seeing all those creatures rip each other to pieces and those buildings bleed out, you can replace them all with fake mechanical versions that work exactly the same.
You can replace the blood with fire.
There you go.
It actually does catch on fire.
I honestly think there's enough people that don't like looking at those slimy Zerg running everywhere that these mecha skins actually make them more willing to play the race. I guarantee there's at least someone.
I want a mecha creep tumor. Can you imagine mecha creep?
I think that's the only one that doesn't have simulant skin.
But wouldn't that be so cool? You have mecha.
Is it in the next phase of the war chest? I don't know, actually.
I don't know. Well, we're going to be starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, top of the blue Zerg player from Psystorm Gaming, sitting up 1-0. He is JonSnow. Man with 3 first names, Jared, John, George.
Nice. His opponent in the southeast, playing as a red Zerg player, he is MeomaikA.
Vietnamese Zerg player. Really, really awesome to see some of the players from these lesser-known regions, not necessarily lesser-known in terms of the world standing, but in StarCraft standing, players like MeomaikA from Vietnam, players like Psyark from Japan, some of the Taiwanese, the Hong Kong player, Gogo Joey. It's just really cool to see the huge variety that we got to see in Americas this season so far.
Yeah, it's truly a global region, as they say, Fear Dragon. America's melting pot, not just in name, but also in its action and how we work here. It's great.
Yeah, everyone's integrated in.
Bringing everybody out here. It's fun. It's good times. Good representation. Some of these, as you mentioned, these regions that don't really get enough love, don't really get enough attention, and also giving us a great stage for that China versus Australia in StarCraft discussion that the community is boiling over now.
And speaking of which, MeomaikA is playing from the C region usually in a lot of the other WCS events. So he's used to playing versus players like Probe or Yours and Seether, etc. That is also part of the reason why he also kind of has developed a bit of a cheeky playstyle, I think, to try and make that work against some of those players. We'll see. JonSnow is not aware just yet of the pool first. He should be realizing now that there's no creep spread over by the hatchery, and now he should know. And he's probably going to be immediately making a couple of those lings as he has 4 on the way, the 2 queens, and a round of drones. Thinking, okay, this is just a few Zerglings, nothing too threatening.
Yeah. I feel like, I guess, ZvZ can be a bit weird on this map because of the 2 entrances to the natural. It's not as easy to wall off against mass lings since you probably still need 2 buildings to block that ramp.
Yeah.
And then you'd need probably 2 buildings to block the other one. So maybe it ends up being close to a normal base where you have 4 buildings to block. But I think like a lot of maps you could do it with 3 when it's just 1 entrance.
Oh, Queen pushing back that Overlord. That is always a potential sign that MeomaikA is looking to do something a little bit sneaky as he really chases off the creep to kill that Overlord with the stutter step forward.
It's the only time when Zerg players regret all those buffs that the Overlord speed got. Overlords used to be the slowest of slow boys.
Yeah. JonSnow, of course, going to be doing the same thing on his side of the map with 2 queens. He's going to kill that Overlord a little bit faster. Both of them die at the same time.
That Overlord explodes into a fireball and crashes onto the ground. Blimp style.
Wouldn't it be great if they did damage when they did that?
Fear Dragon, you already know I think every flying unit should be able to dive bomb Tassadar style. I always think about Tassadar and think about flying units. I'm like, I want my Overlord to be able to crash. I want BCs to be able to crash land. You ever see Stukov, the Alexander in co-op?
Oh yeah.
When it times out, it crashes into the ground, blows up everything underneath it. It's very cinematic.
That's great. We do have a lot of lings here for MeomaikA. Ooh,
dangerous.
gotta be careful. Yeah, good job pulling back at the right time and actually getting a scout out on that Baneling. And you're talking about the 2 entrances. Well, one of the entrances is that third base, so he's going to be able to get a snipe off on this third base. MeomaikA not going for his own quite as early, but he does throw it down in even a different location. The hatchery is going to go down.
Yep.
Baneling's, wow, that dodging and weaving.
Can't believe you got the lings out. I was going to say, trading all your lings for the hatch is a bold move, Cotton.
You can dodge a Baneling, you can dodge a ball, and now he just has to keep his own third base alive, which again is not in the usual spot.
Yeah,
oh my god, JonSnow's
like
actually not seeing it yet.
If he doesn't spot that, that's a huge win. He's not looking at the actual normal third base location, by the way, either.
Yeah.
I don't see anything from here that is vision. But probably a bit rattled, honestly.
He's probably assuming that the third base is there, but he might come in later and say, wait a second, where's your third?
It's so awkward. What was supposed to happen was JonSnow loses the hatch, but kills all the lings, counterattacks, and denies the third of MeomaikA. Instead, MeomaikA somehow ninjas those lings out.
Oh, that is not a
queen.
full
It's not a tight
wall.
wall, so some of the lings are going to be able to make their way into the main base while that queen of the ramp is surrounded and dealt with. Now, those lings can go into the natural expansion mineral line, and he's trying to get the main base queen so low, but not able to finish her off.
Yep, going after some of these drones, finally manages to pick up a second drone kill and will eventually get cleaned up. But killing off a queen, just forcing some delayed mining time, pulling the entire Zergling army all the way back, and even forcing JonSnow to check around, making sure that there's no Banelings morphing in the corners. That was all very good damage, and buys MeomaikA the time he needs to start up his own lair, to get up his roach count, and that is actually going to be a decent number of roaches before JonSnow gets started with a higher drone count. This is a great spot for MeomaikA.
Yeah, it's looking good. He's been able to get a lot
Ruh-roh.
done here. Uh-oh. Golly.
JonSnow literally stunned. Actually, no, it's MeomaikA that's stunned.
MeomaikA, no. Okay, well, hopefully everything's okay over there.
Yeah. We'll hopefully see MeomaikA join back into that game, as he is definitely in a pretty good spot, setting up about 11 supply, and decent chunk of it actually in drones.
Yep. Just, JonSnow talking in the waiting chat.
Yeah, he's like, I hope he's not going for Mutalisks.
This is a 300 IQ metagame, probably.
He's trying to bait one of us to respond.
I guess.
Like,
I think the stream delay is generally long. It's like 4 or 5 minutes.
It's a long
It's a
stream.
while.
It's
great for me and In Control, so when we finish our segment, we can like sit down and just stare at ourselves, talking to each other, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if that first game was the final game in the series, we could have watched the entire first game again.
Exactly. So it looks like MeomaikA is probably going to drop from this game, and we'll have to re-host it, but hopefully he is back online soon, and we can resume this match. We will have to recover the game from the replay.
Yep.
So it does happen
unfortunate.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
He is playing from very far away, so it's like, when we have the Australian players, the people from Vietnam or...
Yeah. And I think they're
Brazil.
defaulted to US West, for those who are curious, because I know I've seen some people asking about
you
that.
play on the Americas server, so US West.
This is WCS Winter Americas.
I think the default, if both players don't agree on a different one, I think the default is US West.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I've been told as well. So of course we're gonna hopefully see MeomaikA isn't disconnected or anything.
Oh, he's in the chat channel, so we'll probably resume this game very soon. He just said he had a super spike of lag.
A super spike.
A super spike.
Is that like a new roach skin?
You're checking. Okay, the lobby's up. We're going to get back into this game soon for you guys. I hope you're all having a great day wherever you are in this big old wide world.
Well, Nate, okay, so you know what? We've talked about some of the different war chest skins and stuff.
Yeah.
Gone over specific ones. What's your favorite war chest skin so far?
War chest from this war chest?
Yeah. Building skin.
I build a lot of missile turrets. I like the missile turret skin. I get supply blocked all the time, so I like the supply detail
That
skin.
man in the missile turret deserves
the man in the missile turret deserves
a better green room.
I want a missile turret skin. You know what? Don't even put it in a war chest. Just let me pay, what, $250 or $5 for it. I want one that shows like a throne for the man in the missile turret. I want the man in the missile turret wearing a crown. I want him to have a scepter in one hand sitting there, and I don't want him spinning around like he's,
I want him to have a cup holder.
I want to see the luxurious man in the missile turret. If you guys have never zoomed in on a missile turret, do it. There is a man in the missile turret, and he has been there for as long as anyone can remember, protecting your base.
He has worked hard, spinning in every single direction.
Spinning for
constantly.
20 years now.
You know what? If you think about it, if you are constantly spinning like that, aren't you effectively? Isn't that the same as just being on Earth? Because we're always spinning.
Theoretically,
you just get
at some
used to it?
point, I guess you would adjust. The
Yeah.
same way we don't feel the world rotating or moving around the sun.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I'm not actually sure if that's a different.
There has always been a man in the missile turret.
There is always a man in the missile turret.
So
And he
that's
does
what I
not
want.
have a cup holder right now.
I want like a golden pimped out missile turret skin. And I want the man in the missile
It's
turret to
actually
have a
just
throne.
made of gold.
Yes. Yes.
That would be pretty amazing.
Ship it. I will build so many more than normal.
Looks like we have to remake the lobby.
Yeah, so we're just getting this set up. I hope you guys are enjoying our terrible stalling tactics. While you're at it, go look for that man in the missile turret copy pasta. That's a great one. It's like an old legendary SC Reddit post from like 2011 or something.
I think I remember the one you're talking about.
There's a lot of fan fiction about the man in the missile turret.
There are just generally some really cool old copy pastas or like stories and stuff. There's some great threads I remember on Team Liquid. I went on a binge history rewatching or rereading of some really old Team Liquid threads. Not As Body, one of the classics. There was the Happy Ultralisk, which
Happy
will actually
Ultralisk is
make you
true.
cry.
The Happy Ultralisk is like that's truly an epic right there.
That, honestly, guys, during the break, you have some time. You want to shed some tears? Go read the Happy Ultralisk.
We're in the lobby again. Hopefully you can start it this time. It was bugged for one of the players when they were trying to get into it. And just so you guys know, this is our second match of the 6th group for WCS Winter
We got 2 more after this. We got a broadcast tomorrow. We got a broadcast the day after tomorrow.
We'll be live on Saturday and Sunday. I think we're going to have Cyril playing tomorrow morning, which will be big, super big. Can watch the reigning world champion take on his first contenders.
You can watch the reigning world champion senselessly deprive everyone of hope and motivation to beat him once again.
You know, that's the crazy thing, though. I think that's one of the fun parts about this tournament is that this is, we got a good amount of people watching. You guys are hanging out. You guys are having a good time. Tomorrow, Cyril's games are going to have a huge, I think, influence on people's perception of him and his ability over the course of this whole year. Like, if Cyril shows up and, just crushes the group, nobody's really surprised, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Like, whatever, he's Cyril. And life goes on. We wait for someone to challenge him. But if Cyril were to come in and, like, drop a map tomorrow to a player that maybe he wouldn't normally or loses a series, no way he would get eliminated. But that's one of those things that people are just going to talk about forever.
Yeah, it looks like we're still having some trouble with the lobby. Okay. I think that sometimes this is a bug, and if we just
I think we're just going to go to break while we figure this out. So we'll be right back. We'll be back when we have the match ready to go. You're watching WCS Winter. Apologies for the delay. See you soon.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Winter, your favorite talk show. While we talk about StarCraft 2 and hopefully waiting for MeomaikA to try and get some of these issues resolved. Still having some trouble with the lobby. But Nate, I want to ask you, how are you doing today?
I'm great. There's really nothing I love doing more than killing time on air, personally. We're just waiting to get this going again.
Well, you know, one of the best parts about killing time, Nate, is that when you're killing time on air, it means that you have your stream loaded up. And if you have your stream loaded up, that means that you likely have the War Chest extension loaded up.
That's true.
And no time is truly wasted.
It still counts towards your War Chest extension viewing minutes, even if we're not in-game. Just want to confirm that for you guys.
Absolutely true. So if you do not have your maxed out level War Chest, then by clicking that extension, you can actually gain a little bit extra experience.
Yep.
And start getting some of those building skins.
And like we said, we'll be going through Sunday here. And then when we start up again next Thursday, we're going to be pretty close to the new phase opening.
Yeah.
Watch the stream, level up your whole entire new phase. Easy. If you were to watch all of the rest of WCS Winter just in February alone, I think you would completely max out your War Chest. I'm fairly confident.
That'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And, of course, one of these default skins that is just immediately available is that hatchery skin. So if you guys are interested, it looks so beautiful. A lovely hatchery. You know what? When you get the hatchery skin, you've actually unlocked 3 skins if you think about it. Because you get a hatchery, you get a lair, you get a hive.
That's right.
That's the dream right there.
It's a triple threat.
1 unlock for 3.
It's amazing. In the main building is the first one you get with it, right? When you
I think so. You might actually. I don't even think you need to unlock it.
No, that's just buying the War Chest, I think, comes to that's the first one.
This is what I'm saying. The Zerg get 3. They get the lair, the hatchery, the hive.
To be fair, we get
Terran get 3. They get a command center, orbital, and a planetary fortress. Where's my 3 for my Nexus?
Well, you know, the fun thing about a Nexus is it costs 400 minerals, and it comes with its macro mechanic for free on it, okay? So I think you could stop complaining.
Well, maybe we can just get 3 Chrono Boosts instead or something. You know, if you apply that War Chest Nexus. Well, our War Chest Nexus is actually still pretty awesome, though.
Yeah,
it's got that dark vibe. It's got the big red. I think the crystal's even bigger then.
I don't think the size of the crystal is that important for your dragon, okay? You can stop fixating on that. We have the lobby, it looks like, mostly together.
Yep.
We'll see. Fingers are crossed out there.
Yeah. Reminder again, since this is just a second game, that means that the winner of this series goes on to face off versus Masa. The loser of this series is going to go on to face off versus Estrella. And just talking a bit about these players and stuff, obviously we spent a lot of time talking about MeomaikA. JonSnow, I kind of mentioned he's sort of got a lot of focuses going on in his life right now. He's about to start a new job. He's like trying to become a software developer and all that good stuff. I know, again, like he has taken a bit of time off. He's had some time to really focus on StarCraft. I know he was hanging out with some friends kind of that were still in school as he graduated like only about a month ago or something. Well, it's kind of funny because then I go back to like Masa or something. Masa he's still in school. He's still studying, but I think he's been focusing a lot on other games and kind of just relaxing. And that's why we're starting to see like the better version of Masa. Whereas Estrella is kind of the other funny guy because he's also in school and everything, but he's just killing it in StarCraft lately. He's just been super motivated.
Yeah, he was gone for a while. But it looks like we're pretty much ready. Everybody's in the lobby. I think we're going to press the button, and fingers are crossed. Everything goes well. If anybody has a lucky rabbit's paw or foot or something out there, please rub it. I think that's how it works.
And if you don't, please don't cut the leg off of a rabbit or anything.
No.
Where do you think rabbits' paws come from?
You don't need to say that.
You think they're just stuffed animals?
We're loading in. Oh my goodness.
All right.
I think animals can be organ donors too, okay? If you're a dragon.
Can they?
I don't know. We're recovering from the game. The progress bar is loading up.
I've never considered a vet doing like an organ transplant.
No. We don't need to talk about that here. Jeez.
Oh, what do you want to talk about, Nate, while we wait for the game to load?
You know, my favorite dipping sauce for chicken tenders has got to be barbecue.
I thought it would be more chicken tenders. You just dip the tendies into tendies?
No. Boy, I can't wait to get back into this ZvZ. The progress bar's almost all the way there.
We're almost there, guys. You're almost done with us on this kind of screen. And I think the game is loaded. The players are nearly ready.
All right.
We're jumping back into this, guys. JonSnow still sitting up 1-0 in this ZvZ. Let's do this.
That's right. We have loaded back into the game. We are free. And
So,
here we go.
Reminder of where we were. MeomaikA was up a decent number of workers. He had the Roach production started a lot faster. JonSnow, not necessarily in a terrible, terrible spot, but he is in a bit of a rough spot. His Roach production is beginning a lot later, and MeomaikA is ramping up the aggression.
Yep, lots of Roaches. Got some Banelings. This is a big moment for MeomaikA to try and even up this series. A flood of 30 Zerglings coming in behind as most of his Banes detonate without really hitting much of anything.
Okay, Baneling's also going off on the hatchery. Sure, it softens up the hatchery, but I don't think that was intentional there for MeomaikA. Now it's Roaches and Queens versus just Roaches. MeomaikA waiting for some of those reinforcements you talked about.
Those Ling Flood is coming. He doesn't have a ton of money to turn him. Is that Queen really chasing? Whatever.
It's chasing the Overlord back toward the hatchery.
Okay, okay.
Well, hatchery is getting awfully low, and I think that MeomaikA will be able to secure the kill here.
He can't save the hatchery, so that's a really big snipe there. Because MeomaikA, as we've seen before, still has his own third base, one that JonSnow was not super aware of earlier in this game. Still don't think he's spotted it.
Well, he spotted out the creep because the Queen knocked it into the creep.
Oh yeah, the Queen. Queen golf putted that Overlord all the way across the map.
Yeah. I mean, now that we've seen how aggressive MeomaikA has been with his Lings and his Roaches, I actually do like this hatchery positioning just because he is trying to be more aggressive. You're closer to your opponent's third base with this hatchery, so your larva is just a little bit quicker to get to the fight. Your reinforcements are there. It benefits a player that's being aggressive, not as much if you're being defensive, though.
No, here's the big Ling Flood coming back, looking for a drone, trying to make a base. Nothing
And there's
there.
also another Ling Flood into the main base from the natural, spots out the lair, kills off a Queen over here, and MeomaikA is just really finding constant, consistent damage left and right.
Yep. You know what else I really like from MeomaikA is his lair was so much faster. His Roach speed's almost done. The lair is what's about to finish for JonSnow, which means he will not have those mobile Roaches for quite a while in this game. He does start up that +2 attack immediately. I guess what JonSnow does have going for him is the upgrades. Having +1 versus unupgraded Roaches for MeomaikA, that's a big deal. Upgrades are huge when it comes to these mirror engagements, and also for dealing with the Zerglings. They're going to push in again, getting this around on the Queen. And the drones have to run away once more. Of course, those +1 Roaches absolutely shred Zerglings, though.
Yep, doing a great job, and we got more of these Roaches moving into the south side. JonSnow's trying to react, but
lose this third. I don't think he can get down here and save it.
There's only 5 or 6 Roaches here, and now a few more come in, but yeah, they don't have speed, but they're also outnumbered completely, so they can't actually run. These Roaches go down, and I think that JonSnow is just bleeding out a few too many units. Even with the +1 weapons upgrade, even with +2 on the way, JonSnow is just lacking in the numbers, and MeomaikA seems like he's going to be poised in a position to potentially take game number 2 right here.
It holds the ramp thus far. I do
just
think
go for the third, right?
Yeah, I'm really surprised he chased his army all the way there. I'm trying to think about ways MeomaikA could lose this game, and pretty much all of them are overcommitting. And look at that. He has, those are the evolved Roaches, the evolved Roach skin, but then he turns them into the Mecha Ravagers. How does that make any sense? They evolve into machines. Does that mean that mech is better because you evolve into it?
Would we just call it biomech?
I guess. It's the Zerg equivalent of Marine Tank. Here we have the Roaches pushing in. There's the Ravager Bile to hold the top of that ramp. And now he has to be forced to come down into this choke point to engage and not being able to fight. Like, you know, when you're on lower numbers, the upgrades seem like they can turn the tide. If he had +2, then maybe he swings this a little bit better. But the delay on some of those upgrades really hurt, like the Roach speed. He does have it now, but JonSnow just can't get out enough Roaches. And MeomaikA is going to tie this series up.
Well done, MeomaikA. Keeping his hopes alive a little bit longer here in the second series of the Americas group. And we get ready to move into a game number 3. It was all off the back of a really good start and sniping off that third base. Everything from there, MeomaikA was doing more run-bys and everything. He was keeping JonSnow busy. But overall, he was able to put himself in a position where JonSnow just wasn't given the tools to actually come back.
Yep. It's unfortunate. Really good play by MeomaikA there. I like seeing that aggression coming out of him. Very fun. Very fierce.
You know, it was fun. Besides the third base positioning for MeomaikA, haven't really seen the MeomaikA memes. I feel like I've kind of let people
mirror
on.
matchups are the least silly ones, unless it's
MeomaikA is a guy that I'm pretty sure I've seen go for a 12 hatchery. Sorry, a 12 pool, an 11 gas, and a hatchery on 10 supply because he knew that when the Overlord scouted out the creep spread from the hatchery on the low ground that was built at 10 supply, it would look like a hatch first, and then a bunch of lings would just flood across the map. It is that level of memery, guys.
Is it, though?
That's a pretty memey build.
That, you saying that to me makes me feel physical pain.
He won that game. Like,
who did he beat?
It was a decent Zerg player. I'm trying to remember who. It was like, I would say someone I would rank as like a top 5 or 6 NA Zerg.
Doubt.
You can't really fact check me because I didn't list who the player was because I forgot.
That's true.
This is about like a year ago or something. Well, next map, it looks like it's going to be Port Alexander for game number 3. And again, this is just the second series of the Americas
10
group.
supply spawning pool.
10 supply
hatchery.
Yeah, 10 supply hatchery. You know, I could actually be wrong. It might have been 11 supply, and he might have not gotten a gas geyser, because going for a slowling all-in also seems like something he would do. MeomaikA is just one of those guys.
I don't know.
All right. We're moving into game number 3. Game is loaded. Let's introduce the players. We're going to be starting on Port Alexander in the top left-hand corner of the map. Top of the red Zerg player from Storm Camming. He is Jared JonSnow George. Multiple challenger placements.
Yeah. JonSnow's put up a pretty decent career earnings so far.
Yeah.
His opponent in the southeast, the blue Zerg player. He is MeomaikA.
You know, in 2017, JonSnow came so close to being the only player from the Americas region to qualify through Challenger for every single one of the trips out to the WCS circuit events. He only missed out on Montreal, and that was something that actually in 2017, even Neeb wasn't going to be doing. JonSnow barely got denied, though, in a qualifying match. But a very, very consistent player. We do have an earlier pool, by the way, from MeomaikA. No gas geysers either, just going for the hatchery.
But it's not at 10 supply, though, tragically. I find myself disappointed.
Are you disappointed, or do you actually want to see that memery?
No. I'm just making a joke. I find that I still think what you said is insane. Maybe it actually happened, but my brain can't accept it as real. You know?
I've also seen True do something similar, but he actually went up to 14 drones and then did a 14, 13, 12. With the exact same idea.
Yeah, that makes more sense, though.
Okay.
We got the lings coming out. 4 of them.
Yep. And as we saw in the last game, these lings are just here to get little bits of scouting and also some minor damage done. Maybe kill off a drone or two. I think you're pretty happy if you kill a drone and then force a few lings from your opponent as well. That's about the extent of what you can really hope for.
Yeah, because JonSnow's lings are going to be out by
the
time that MeomaikA's lings even get there.
Yeah, this shouldn't really do too much here. All right, 6 lings on the way here for JonSnow, so he's getting ready to push back those 4 lings and then kind of push across the map. We'll see if these guys go for fast third bases. I mean, even with game number 1, they both went for fast third bases, but it did go and escalate into very heavy ling baneling aggression. Even game 2, we saw a lot of ling baneling aggression.
Yep.
Faster transition to roaches.
These guys both definitely like playing that style. Like, we've seen plenty of Zergs that go out of their way to skip it. I would say players like Cyril have done that, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll just choose a build where you can wall off a little bit or use the large size of the map to be able to buy yourself that time to build your army out like that. And I don't mind seeing the Roach play either, because when you watch good players with Roaches, spread them out, split them across all the bases, get burrow, to me, that's also a treat to watch.
JonSnow, though, is not stopping that ling production, and this is around the number of drones that JonSnow was making lings and banelings in the previous games, but he doesn't have a baneling nest this time. So this is also a bunch of lings being held in, trying to hide them a bit. The Overlords are already pulling themselves back, anticipating that there are going to be some queens there, and actually spots out these lings moving their way along the top right-hand side. And MeomaikA, he's already starting that roach production. Are these lings going to get here in time for JonSnow?
I'm not sure. Those roaches should be finishing just around the time that he's maybe through this queen or two. There's going to be a wall-off attempted over here. As JonSnow's Lings approach and engaging in fisticuffs over here in front of the creep. Not finishing off that queen yet. He had it very low on hit points. I'm surprised he doesn't go for it. Now the roaches are out, and this attack is pushed back.
Yeah, the cost there was not necessarily drones for JonSnow because he's actually sitting on pretty much the same worker counts. The real cost there was that the roaches have already come out there for MeomaikA, and JonSnow just finished up his roach run. He's only now beginning some of that roach production. And now, because he lost pretty much all of the Lings, he doesn't really have a whole lot of map presence anymore. He does have a third, though, third base at least, though.
Yeah, and look at this, already going into 9 roaches, so he is feeling like he's going to need a lot of roaches on the map now. Getting the evolution chamber so that he can use it for that +1 attack, which almost saved him in the previous game, but will it be too little too late, as there's no third base for MeomaikA. A bunch of roaches are just coming in for your dragon.
Yep, but here are JonSnow's roaches, and he has the queens to help out a bit. Still has to deal with these Zerglings, though. The Zergling's going to tank quite a bit of the damage. It's Zerglings versus queens as the additional helper, and JonSnow should have higher numbers of units here.
Yeah, we have the roaches attacking from the high ground. The queens are here to help defend, but those Lings are also going to soak and add just a little bit more, little pepper there on top in terms of the damage. Lings are going to be coming out for JonSnow as well, so he's not completely committing only to roaches. Wants to use those Lings that are cheap and fast to help defend. This is such an early phase of the game that we're not really looking at anything like roach speed being a part of it yet. So dealing with the Ling speed and the movement capability that those earlier units have is certainly going to hemorrhage either player's ability to be aggressive.
But after losing so many roaches there, MeomaikA has 5 more roaches in production, but the Ling's already getting some damage onto that hatchery. The rest of the roaches there for JonSnow don't actually look like they want to commit there. I guess he didn't know how many roaches there were going to be behind this. JonSnow just pokes forward once again with the Lings, ends up retreating back, and starts up his +1 missile attack, whereas MeomaikA focusing on getting up that roach speed upgrade by getting up his lair.
Yep, and you know what? The roach speed is going to be very similar, right? MeomaikA is going to have speed faster, but JonSnow is going to have the +1 attack, which didn't really do that well for him, but that may just be because of the run-bys. I say that. The run-bys are happening again. MeomaikA is grabbing a handful of drones here or there.
Yeah.
Which is really, really good.
Really wonderful Ling control, by the way, from MeomaikA. We've seen him dodging and weaving from banelings and roaches and all sorts of stuff with those Lings. And just finding the small little cracks, small little opportunities to sneak his Lings in and out.
Yep. And here we have the army moving across the map again. And it's gonna...
we're back. We're back, guys.
There's a quick pause. They're just gonna make sure everything's all right.
All caps, LAG, latest and greatest gaming.
What?
Do you remember that clan?
Oh.
Lagged?
Life's a glitch.
Do you lag TT believe?
No.
No? Okay.
All right, they're just going to make
sure
that the latency is okay for him as might be having another spike, as you put it, a roach or a ravager, maybe in his internet connection, I don't know.
Corrosive bile the power line down.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. Don't do that. It's messed up. It's messed up here, Dragon. All right, so he's going to drop from this game, I guess, and we're going to have to
resume from replay.
Try to resume from replay again.
Most likely. Tense situation here, as MeomaikA is a bit up in supply, but of course we ended up having JonSnow in that situation where he's able to defend, keep his third base alive a little bit longer, build up that roach count. And even the last game, we didn't quite see the numbers work out in JonSnow's favor because he's playing from behind without a third base for so long.
Yep.
But JonSnow got up the upgrades. MeomaikA never started a ranged attack upgrade. I don't even know that we have an evolution chamber in this game so far. So if JonSnow is able to get up to +1 weapons, and then he's as quick as he was in the first or the second game to start up +2 weapons, MeomaikA might just gradually fall further and further behind in that the upgrade count, which can really hurt in a ZvZ.
Yeah, I mean, the mobility was still really good for him, though, because he was able to catch a lot of the smaller chunks of roaches off guard when they were trying to exit.
Yep.
So there's definitely some validity to going for the roach speed earlier instead of the faster +1 attack. Although my personal feelings on it is that if you can keep your units together, having the better upgrades is always going to be better, because it's not like the getting roach speed gives you more roaches.
Yeah.
You get across the map faster, sure, but you should still not be able to override the defender's advantage and the upgrade lead at the same time. So they're going to set the lobby up to recover the game.
Yep.
One more time.
Yeah, and exactly what you were saying. It's not one of those situations where roach speed will just win you a fight, but it allows you to tease at fights and say, oh, okay, you're defended here. I can retreat back from this. If you don't have roach speed, or if you're trying to be aggressive and you're up against roaches with speed, then suddenly as soon as you overcommit, it's like, oh, actually I'm committed here. I actually can't leave now.
Yep.
And if that was a bad fight, you just actually lose the game potentially.
If you're out on the map with slow roaches and your opponent has speed and you get caught, it's over. Like, there's nothing you can do.
So what's nice about this is that because MeomaikA is going to have that faster roach speed, unless JonSnow finds an opportunity where he has so many more roaches than MeomaikA and he can move across the map and not be worried about a counterattack, he will be able to just overwhelm MeomaikA, but MeomaikA should theoretically just not let that happen. He has the opportunity to buy himself a lot of space and time.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he can do that. We are
resuming from replays.
We have everything set up so far, I think. And we can jump into this one soon again, hopefully. Just got to get the admin in the lobby. All right.
Yep. Players are all here. We got MeomaikA here, so all the lobby issues we were seeing before are resolved. Hope you guys are having a good time, though. I know Nathanius and Zombie Grub and I have been checking it out, you guys, in Twitch chat.
Yes.
Find any favorite of your copy pastas there?
No.
I tried to start one, but no one. I think like 3 people joined.
That's not how it works. It's got to be something random that someone just says overly seriously. Like, a good pasta would come from someone being like, I can't believe these commentators. The player disconnects twice, and all they want to do is talk about their favorite chicken tender dipping sauce. Why won't they break down this ZvZ analysis of +1 versus roach speed even more? And then people would just spam that for hours and hours.
That's a pretty good one.
Tweet it at you.
Well, I think you just started a copy pasta.
No, probably not. We do have the lobby ready to go. Looks like everybody's ready to rock and roll.
All right. Decided to move back into this. Of course, it does take a few minutes for it to get back to the point that we disconnected from, so we'll wait for that. Reminder again that the winner of this series is going to go on to face off versus Masa.
Yep.
Of course, the next match is actually going to be the loser of this series facing off versus Estrella, who I think is a pretty tough opponent, especially when it comes to, say, Protoss versus Zerg. Estrella's got some really dirty builds.
I'm excited to see more of Estrella's play. Looked good versus Masa. Masa obviously looked better in that match, but Estrella still made it very close. Made me doubt myself. Got inside my head watching him play that wonderful PVT.
Yeah, I think definitely. It's one of those situations where I feel like Estrella and Masa could play 10 best-of-3s, and I'm pretty sure that Masa doesn't necessarily win all of them. I think absolutely Estrella can take some series off of Masa, but that one, Masa looking a little bit stronger. But here we are, guys. We are back in the game.
All right.
Players are ready. We are resuming from replay. Here we go.
Here we go.
Okay, so as we were saying before, JonSnow has that +1 missile attack upgrade, and I like the fact that actually, now that I think about it, he does have quite a few lings that he can still stay very mobile with. He can still keep an eye on his opponent, and that in and of itself is actually extremely valuable for JonSnow.
Yep. The ling mobility on the map is always nice, even with no upgrades. Like, they're still so good, especially because MeomaikA isn't getting that +1 that we talked about. So yeah, his roaches can deal with the lings, sure, but if the Zerglings are able to run around, find a good positioning, find an opening, the roaches don't kill them as fast as the lings would be killed for the other player. We do have, I think, his own lings, MeomaikA's, poking the top side, but JonSnow's ready to defend, and he's going to have that +1 missile attack that will allow his roaches to pulverize the enemy Zergling forces.
Yeah, we do have a decent number more roaches here for JonSnow, and I will note that MeomaikA has an 8-worker lead, which is pretty significant in a mirror matchup with these low supplies. But is JonSnow actually going to have enough over here with +1 weapons to break through? He's got to make this attack work. These lings for JonSnow.
This is like the pointless battle, right? It's like, well, neither of us really care about our lings anymore.
Well,
MeomaikA is still making them, I guess. But, I mean, JonSnow with +1, he doesn't need to build lings. His roaches are not going to be worried about the Zerglings in these fights.
Yeah, there is no retreating here, by the way, for JonSnow. So he's got to make this fight work. He's also down in workers. The ling's going to be soaking up a few hits, but not that many because of that +1 weapons upgrade. Faster reinforcements here for MeomaikA. Are they going to make or break the difference? The Queen's also helping out a little bit in the DPS. The fight is actually pretty close here, especially with JonSnow's reinforcements being so close across the map.
+1 difference is huge, though. Total number of roaches still heavily favoring JonSnow, even though he has to rally across the map without the speed upgrade. I really feel like you can see where some of the gravity of those upgrades kicks in here. It takes a whole extra volley to kill those roaches without any upgrades.
Drone's being pulled off the line. JonSnow backs up, regroups, and is going to go in once again for round 2. He's also making some Lings to follow this up, realizing that he wants some of those faster reinforcements and that his Lings will absorb the hits a bit better.
Drones coming off the line to help fight, bringing out their little drilling spinners of death that they have instead of regular
saw blades. Yeah.
Saw blades, simulant drones, but the saw blades don't actually increase their damage.
No.
Bye-bye, drones.
But with the drone pull, MeomaikA is starting to push JonSnow a bit further back. The problem is now the worker counts are even, or actually a little bit in favor of JonSnow.
That's the real kicker. JonSnow continuing to apply pressure here. More drones are going to transfer down to this base, but the roaches continue to wail away at these forces.
And JonSnow, I love this. He's actually, well, it's a little bit tough because, again, the retreat is a little bit difficult for JonSnow.
He can't really run that effectively.
Yeah.
He doesn't have roach speed. Did he even get a lair? Did he ever get a lair?
No, he never got a lair. So he is, in that sense, much further behind.
Just now starts it.
But during that fight, toward the end of it, intermixing a couple of drones here and there and finally making a big round of drones toward the end, he does take a pretty significant worker lead.
Yep.
And yeah, sure, his lair is going to be a little bit later, but as long as he gets up his roach speed upgrade before MeomaikA is able to do anything else with his lair, JonSnow's going to be totally fine with the later roach speed.
Yeah, well, especially since he'd be the defending player now, right? Since he has the economic lead.
He doesn't have to do anything right now.
Yeah, the loss of mobility isn't as bad because he will have the perks of creep spread. I say that, and there's actually no creep connecting any of the bases.
No, and there's also a Ling run by into the main base. JonSnow needs to send a couple of roaches over there. He's also got all of his roaches bundled up at the third base, trying to defend against the big roach ball here from MeomaikA. Still a ways off from roach speed finishing up, so this is what MeomaikA needs to do. He needs to take advantage of roach speed, tease at fights, and every single time it looks bad, he can just back up safely with roach speed, and JonSnow cannot chase him. And wow, the queens are actually making their way across. He's pulling back? No, okay. He's going in.
You think he's going to all in with this? He's going to push everything?
If you pull all of your queens like that, I feel like you have to, right? That's almost all of his queens.
Yeah, I'm just asking you to confirm for me because I feel crazy for thinking that this is going to happen, but it is. The queens are pretty much here.
Well, that's a nice supply block on JonSnow. His overlords are just now starting up.
I think he has time to rebuild the overlords and then build 2 waves of roaches before these queens reach his creep.
They do take quite a bit of time.
This is where we put on some really epic music. Zoom in on the queens. I'd go to your opera for your dragon. So the Ravagers are going to support in the back a little bit here. Roach speed is not yet ready for JonSnow, so he still has to be careful with his positioning, but he's going to bring up with his queens these roaches. But that +1 attack difference helps a lot. Just if you eat 1 or 2 biles, though, that can really turn the tide.
Yeah, I feel like MeomaikA during that first wave of aggression, MeomaikA was getting a lot more roaches involved in the fight. A lot of JonSnow's roaches are getting choked up in the back. And we're starting to see MeomaikA actually making some progress forward. He is leading up a bit in army supply. The +1 weapons upgrade is so important for JonSnow to be able to try and make this hold work. Losing the third base is not an option either, and he's getting choked up behind his third base now, but he's coming in with a flank. Reinforcements coming in from the natural. He dives in on top of these roaches, on top of the Ravagers, on top of the queens. Is it enough?
Would really like to see some of the focus fire onto the Ravagers. There we go, picks off all of them. And now JonSnow, he did lose enough workers to put himself behind in the overall economy. This is where the big counterattack tries to do it, right? He finally has roach speed. He can reinforce the pace that he wants to, and his roaches are just better than MeomaikA's. So if this was going to be if there's ever an opportunity for JonSnow to try and make one big attack to close it out, this would be it. But he's retreating, so I guess he doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think that was maybe an opportunity, but I guess it's, again, if he commits to it and he's wrong about it in this situation, he loses all of his roaches because he doesn't have roach speed still at this point in the game.
No, he's got it.
Oh, no, he's got it now. Okay, never mind. Take it back. Well, then in that case, yeah, it's still a bit of a hard call, but I'm still with you just because MeomaikA pulled all of his queens, so he doesn't have that as a defending advantage. But it's going to sort of even out besides the upgrades, and this I like.
Inject that hatchery 4 times. Now you don't have to look at your hatch to inject it again for 4 minutes. Yeet.
And JonSnow just says, well, you know what? I'll make it 5 minutes.
That contamination, though.
Well, the queens, I think, have been remade here for MeomaikA, so he can start injecting. JonSnow actually needs to do the same because he lost a lot of his queens during the fight. But I guess if you're just making roaches for now, they are relatively larva efficient. So he has a bit of time, but it's +2 weapons on the way. That's going to help out so much. For those who are wondering, each ranged attack, the missile attack upgrade, means that you kill your opponent's roaches with 1 less hit. And every carapace upgrade makes it so that your roaches survive 1 more hit.
Yep, it's very, very important. In any mirror matchup, the upgrades just have like an insane level of impact. Like, you know, when 10 Marines fight 10 Marines, if one of them have the extra upgrade, you don't like barely win. You kind of steamroll. And it's the same way with roaches when you have the upgrade advantage, unless your opponent really has like a tremendous overwhelming numbers advantage. But now he's just been chilling, right? Because he's got the +2, and it's a little past halfway done. So if he gets that, then his roaches will not just win. They will dominate the fight. It'll look bad.
MeomaikA, he has a very short period of time where he can make that work. He's going for Spire behind this, which I suppose is one way he could maybe buy himself a bit more time. But again, it's still roaches of inferior upgrades that are going to have a really hard time. Corrosive Bile's coming down on both sides. JonSnow connecting a little bit better, though.
JonSnow landing a few of those biles absolutely pulverized the enemy army. MeomaikA definitely looks like his army's caving in right now, and those Ravagers are going to be left to the roaches to be eaten alive as they try to run home. And that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. There is nothing left for MeomaikA. He's going to try to squeeze out some roaches back home, it looks like, but JonSnow's army is just going to slip and slide across the map over towards the Blue Zerg player's base to bring down the final hammer to knock MeomaikA into the lower match here in WCS Winter Americas.
+2 weapons finishes up as if it wasn't enough already. But JonSnow takes care of the 3rd base. There's a 4th base actually up here for MeomaikA that is up and running, but with only 37 workers.
Yeah.
Well done. MeomaikA put up a heck of a fight, took JonSnow to game 3, but he is going down to that losers match.
Yep, and he is victorious. Great series there. A little bit bumpy here and there, but JonSnow, Mr. Consistency strikes again, bringing a very stable series back. I mean, we saw the 2nd game, that roach speed, not having it, really put him at a disadvantage because he got picked apart. But in this game, he did a much better job of keeping everything together, keeping everything condensed. Maybe also map-related features, since he doesn't have those multiple choke points, or as many of them in the same way.
Yeah.
The frontal assault. So good game there. Congrats. JonSnow is going to go on to face Masa.
Indeed. And of course, our next match, as we take a look, we are going to be jumping into the losers match, where Estrella will take on MeomaikA. We'll see how that shapes up, because I think both of those players have got some dirty strats prepared for that particular matchup. And JonSnow versus Masa, tale of ages of old, NA versus NA, and then of course that decider match. But ladies and gentlemen, get yourselves ready. This is where the meme fest truly begins in a Zerg versus Protoss.